What's going on, everyone? Something I've learned about muscle growth is that the quality of your gym workouts, your exercise sets, and each individual exercise rep matters. When I say quality, I'm referring to exercise technique, level of effort, and to some extent, programming. Having a high quality of those elements within your gym workouts will have a huge positive impact on both the speed in which you build muscle and the amount of muscle that you build, in combination with good nutrition, of course. In this video, I'm going to walk you through my latest full body gym workout and do my best at showing and sharing with you how I approach doing it at a high quality. I'm definitely not perfect, but hopefully in showing you what my approach is, it might give you some ideas that you could consider trying out or implementing in your own workouts to help you build as much muscle as possible. Before we dive in, if you find yourself enjoying the video or that it's helpful to you, please consider hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel. It really helps me out. Okay, let's get into it. First up in the session are these deficit Bulgarian split squats. I've got to say, this is one of my all-time favorite lower body exercises. It hits the quads, glutes, and even part of the hamstrings. Yep, they're definitely tough as heck, but they're also killer for muscle growth. You'll notice that my front foot is elevated using a few bumper plates. That makeshift platform is essentially where the deficit comes from. By elevating my front foot, I'm able to actually move deeper at the bottom of each rep. Why go out of my way to move super deep at the bottom of each rep? Well, because it probably makes each rep more stimulative for muscle growth. As far as keeping my technique at a high quality goes, I make sure to always move with control. When doing an exercise like this, where every rep leads to, let's say, copious amounts of discomfort on your working muscles, there's a temptation to speed through each rep. But to get the most out of the set, I try my best to do the opposite. Keep each rep smooth, controlled, and not too fast. I pause at the bottom of each rep in that super deep position for a split second or two to boot. As far as my setup goes, like how far I set my foot out in front of me and how much I lean my torso forward, I simply set myself in the position that feels the most comfortable and where I can perform my best without feeling like anything is going against the grain, as in where my hips, knees, and ankles all feel healthy, like they're moving smoothly through the joint. In short, I don't overthink my positioning. I just set myself where I can move as deep as possible, have a great mind-muscle connection, and where I don't feel any joint or connective tissue pain or discomfort. Next are these bent-over dumbbell rows. These, along with T-bar rows, are probably my favorite movements for hitting my traps right now. In addition to hitting the traps, however, these also hit the spinal erectors. Having a combination of well-developed traps and spinal erectors is the recipe for a thick-looking back, and I'm living for it. During my last competition season, one of the weakest points on my physique was visibly just that, my upper back thickness. So being very intentional about this movement is important for me to improve upon that. As far as my technique goes, I keep it strict. No real momentum or swinging. I set my torso to where I'm close to parallel with the floor, but not quite to true parallel. As you can see, I'm on a slight angle. I set myself where I can feel high tension, where I want to be feeling it the most, which is my mid-upper back, my traps mainly. Once I set myself in that position, I really try to stay locked in place throughout the set. I do, however, intentionally allow my thoracic spine or my upper back to round at the bottom of each rep for the purposes of allowing my traps to stretch out as much as possible. When I pull the weight up, I think about pulling the weights up by dragging my elbows upward rather than pulling from my hands. The word drag rather than pull or lift is a cue that really resonates well with me. Dumbbell lateral raises are next. I found that positioning is super important with these. When I start each set, I intentionally kind of flare my lats like I would do when settling into a front relaxed pose on stage. That positioning helps me to feel my delts significantly more than if I were to simply start the set with my arms relaxed at my sides. As I raise the weights, I do so on the faster side, but still smoothly and with control. At the top position, I'll pause for a split second before moving down a bit slower to the bottom position. My personal preference with these is to not lower the dumbbells as low as possible to where my arms are essentially locked out and relaxed directly at my sides. I make sure the bottom position is just before that point, where I still feel tension on my delts a few inches away from my body. I like doing this for the reason that I feel more fiery tension on my delts throughout the set, which helps reinforce my mind-muscle connection, and because it might mean getting a better overall stimulus for muscle growth. Shoulder pulls are up next. I'm doing these with the intention of hitting my mid-traps and secondarily my rear delts. To make sure I hit those target muscles, I'm intentionally keeping my elbows flared high and I'm cueing myself to pull my elbows back whilst pulling the rope apart. I'm using a relatively light load with these for high reps for my first set, followed by doing several myo rep sets. Myo reps are essentially rest pauses where you typically take somewhere between 10 to 20 seconds rest between sets. I admittedly didn't love doing these this session though. Although I had an okay mind-muscle connection with my traps, I mostly felt the movement in my rear delts. I would have rather had it been the opposite, where I'd felt it a bit more dominantly on the traps rather than the rear delts, but it is what it is. I probably will experiment with a different pulling movement for my next session instead of doing these, I think. And last for the session were some good old-fashioned dumbbell bench presses. I mentioned this in my last video, but I've been including dumbbell bench presses in pretty much all of my workouts. Why no barbell bench presses, machine presses, flies, or any other chest movement? Well, simply because dumbbell bench presses leave me with the best mind-muscle connection, and they tend to wear down my joints the least of practically all the possible chest exercises out there. I do like including a good machine press every now and again if there's a good one in the gym that I'm at, but for right now, I'm sticking with the dumbbell presses. Like you'd probably guess by now, as far as my technique goes, maintaining control is a priority. I move as deep as possible at the bottom of each rep to where I can feel a big stretch across my chest. And as I press the load up, I make a point of keeping my glutes glued to the bench and my feet cemented to the floor. It can be easy to flare the hips up when pressing up and to start kicking your feet around. I've definitely been guilty of that as a younger lifter. Keeping a sturdy, cemented setup, however, is a means of maximizing your stability throughout the set. If your level of stability is maximized, then your pecs will have the support they need to produce maximal amounts of force. That means having the capacity to perform your best throughout the set, and that means maximizing muscle growth stimulus. And there you have it. Keeping your gym workouts at a high quality is pivotal when it comes to both maximizing muscle growth and building muscle as fast as possible. Hopefully, in walking you through my latest full body gym workout and sharing what my approach is in keeping the quality of the session high is helpful for you in that it's giving you some ideas to try out and implement for your own workouts to build lots of muscle for yourself. At this point, I'd love to hear your feedback. Drop your comments, insights, and questions in the comment section below. Before this video comes to a close, I wanted to quickly let you know about the work that I do. When I'm not making YouTube videos, recording podcast episodes, and making Instagram content, I work full-time as an online physique coach, where I help my clients to accomplish their muscle growth and fat loss goals by helping them to optimize their approach to strength training and nutrition, and I coach them through the process. I've been doing this work for over 7 years and love helping my clients to not only transform their bodies, but ultimately their lives. If you've been considering getting some help with accomplishing your own physique goals, feel free to hit the link in the description below, where you can learn a little bit more about the work that I do and how it can help you. You can even use that link to schedule a free video consultation with me. If you have any questions about my coaching or how I can help you, just email me at sam@jadeathletics.ca. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.